All right. Hi, attendees. I see we have a couple of folks join us right now. There is a live poll that we have included in our session. So if you could take a moment to fill that out, that would be super helpful. We want to make sure that the attendees who are here with us today get some sort of a customized experience depending on your level of with Edulastic. My name is Charlene, and I help support schools in Ohio with Edulastic. I'm a former high school science and math teacher, taught for over 10 years, really in a few different states. So I'm really excited to be part of the Edulastic team and continue to support educators on their journey to measuring student growth, tracking that data. As we know, it's an ongoing cycle within our instruction, and really using that data that we gather to drive our instruction and help support our students along the way. I've got my colleague here today. Her name is Ileana. She'll be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to pop those into the chat. We are certainly more than happy to answer those along the way. And of course, we'll try to get all of your questions in today's presentation. So and we're new to this kind of Aircast studio, so I'm just kind of clicking around here, but I don't see any votes yet. Maybe we can wait for a minute or so here and see if we can get some votes. And if not, I will just continue on as if maybe do a mix of, new to Edulastic and here's how you get started. And then as you start using the platform, how you can leverage the data that you can gather within Edulastic to support a lot of that criteria found under the high quality student data as part of OTES 2.0. We have a huge fan base in Ohio regarding Edulastic. So we have done our part in making sure that our content is aligned to Ohio standards in our system. So that is kind of what we're going to gear our presentation toward today. And as I talk to more educators and kind of hear, what's top of mind and what are the initiatives, certainly OTES 2.0 comes up quite often in those discussions. I'm just going to go ahead and get started here. And again, feel free as you all kind of come in to answer that poll, and it will give us a better idea of who our audience is today. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and pop into our website, which is up right now, and walk you through how to create an Edulastic free account. Yes, teachers, I said free. Edulastic is free forever for teachers. And as a former educator, I will say the free version is quite robust. So you need to go, you need to do this, but no, honestly, you'll thank us for it. But when you get a chance, go to edulastic.com and click join for free. We are an online assessment platform. We are getting into the curriculum game. So we have launched Spark Math, in which we have curated lists of assessments aligned to particular math curricula. So whether you're using Illustrative or Go Math or Eureka, Engage, and Why, we've got playlists ready to be used and assigned. But this assessment platform, you can come in here with your free account and you can create those quick formatives, those check for understandings and exit tickets with state standards tied to those questions within the assessments. Or you can use our platform for your district's common assessment. In fact, I'm just going to pop into this link right here. This is a blog post released by Samantha Schaffner. She is a veteran Ohio ELA educator and is currently a high school administrator at Central High School in Ohio. And she wrote this blog post in how her school and district, in their journey, if you will, to implement common assessment and track student progress. So I don't know if Ileana can maybe put that into the chat, the article, but This certainly, as you're using your free account and you're thinking about common assessments, here's their journey. She even outlines a common assessment timeline that they took, and just really steps in terms of using Edulastic Enterprise. We have a few different subscriptions on how to implement the common assessment within their district. Even talking about kind of that baseline benchmark and how they administered that, if you will. So really cool article to check out. And again, she's Ohio, so it speaks certainly to you all out there. Now, once you create your free account, let me just call out this. I have to, because it's just newly released. As you're exploring your free account, you're going to see a lot of features that are in gray, and that's just telling you this is a paid premium feature, like a lot of the anti-cheating features, Desmos calculator to add to assessments for kids to use. And you're like, gosh, I wish I could just like turn that on. Well, you can. We are offering free 2-week trials of Teacher Premium. And that's what I'm going to really be diving into today, is not only using a free account to support HQSD, but also how you can take your premium account, especially if you activate this free trial, and open up all those in-depth reports and analytics that are going to help you gather that high-quality student data. It's going to help you reflect, identify strengths and weaknesses of your class, as well as individual students. So we'll go over that, but it's here. And then the Spark Math that I just called out for my math folks out there, that we're also offering free trials of Spark Math. So, and then on this page as well, how you can make the most out of your premium trial, and some of the really cool anti-cheating features that we released that I've got to tell you, we literally had a real student ping our support chat and say, "You have ruined my life because you don't make cheating easy anymore." So, I mean, if you want to talk about a good compliment, that there you have it. But we've also heard students in districts say, "I would much rather use Edulastic than this current platform because it's so easy to use." So we get, both ends of the spectrum, but we're also kind of, if you dig into the interwebs, you see these, conversations between students, and they're like, "Dude, don't use Edulastic. It's the one place you can't cheat." So, and we get a bunch of teachers just loving that, and it just makes their jobs easier. And that's what we're here to do. So yeah, please and check that out. And yeah, feel free to activate your trial. So right now I'm in a Teacher Premium account, and I don't want to go into kind of creating rosters and getting all set up, because really today is about student data. How do we, use our accounts to find that data, and how can we use that data to drive our instruction and meet that, high quality criteria that is under OTES 2.0. So with your account, whether you're free or premium, you have an Insights tab. And on the Insights tab, it's got a bunch of different reports. It's got a single assessment, deep dive summary into one particular assessment. You can also see, as I've pulled up here on the premium version, different types of standards reports. And I'm going to just walk through these in just a moment. But you also have multiple progress reports. You can even, track your students and how they're progressing or even trending downward. So that way you can identify those gaps early on and go in there and, plan your reteach and intervention strategies accordingly. One of the standards reports is the standards performance summary. Now, this is a Virginia test that I did for Virginia educators. Now, keep in mind, and I'll show you where this content is, your assessments will be aligned to either Ohio Math, Ohio ELA, so you'll be able to pull up standards on the Ohio piece, within your assessments. But this is just for demo purposes, and to be honest, I had a lot of good fake data on this particular assessment. So as you can see here, I'm looking at all of my tests and these standards that have popped up on all of those tests, thus far within this school year. And so right now I'm comparing by class and by mastery score. And so talk about your bird's eye view, just at a glance, this standard 6.5 looks like, it's something that I'm going to really need to revisit with my students. And so what does that revisit look like? And so this is when you can go to a live class board, which I'll get to in a minute, to look at, was it the question? Is it the content? And that's when you can really gather that high quality student data, both qualitative and quantitative, to help support you. Now, if you want to compare by student, you can just come down here and flip that on. And it might take a while just to load this data. But what you can do is, that was looking at the classes and their performance with the standards. And then now I'm in the students, okay? And so I see, and these are all fake students, but Emmy Arias, for example, overall mastery, and then a breakdown for each of the standards. So 6.1, these two students on. You can even analyze in a few different ways. You can even look at mastery level or raw score. What you can also do from here is you can select maybe just the domain that you want to focus on. So this domain of 6.1, you can click on it, and then it will and then you hit apply over here. So you can see how easy this is to use. And it depends on what you're trying to look at. If you're looking at all the standards across all tests that you've administered throughout the year, and you want to focus, domain by domain and look at kind of the overall performance here. So this is one, resource you can go to for that standards mastery and data on, standards that you have tied to your assessment. You can even come to, a certain test. So we haven't even covered that. This is like a cumulative view. And then you can drill down into like one particular test, for instance, to look at the standards and how both the class and the student did on those standards. So this report right now is on a premium report. The free version gives you a standards gradebook. So I'm going to click in the standards gradebook here, and this report is on your free side. So that's why we highly encourage you to go in and create a free account. And again, so my filter has remained. I'm only on this one standard, but see here now, I call this the lasagna effect, but now you can look at your stacked proficiency, if you will, and really see, gosh, more than half the class has not mastered 6.1. And then you can also see it here as well. So again, what is it about standard 6.1? As a former chemistry teacher, I would probably go, I bet this is stoichiometry, because that's a really tough subject, content to master. But then you look at this percentage here that are above, that have either are basic or above. So now it's really about trying to getting more students up into this basic range. Here I'm comparing by student, but again, you can compare by class. And if you're in a premium version, you can compare in a few different ways as well. But if I turn off 6.1, and I hit apply. And again, this is on the free version. So you're still getting similar to the standards performance summary. But, it's just one way to look at the standards data that's available to you within your account. So here, I can look students who have not mastered versus who are on their way to mastery within each standard. And if you highlight over the student names here, if you're on a premium account, which again you can take on a free trial, these will, and you can see down here, it's going to go to a student profile summary. So that's a really nice report to look up to see how the student performed over the course of a year. It's going to give you their assessment data, the standards over the course of the year. And so that's nice to share with your students, share with parents, but using that to kind of guide them into that next grade level and maybe things that they should be working on, and even sharing with their, next teacher in line for their 7th grade math year. So again, with this report on the free version, this is looking, again, a cumulative view. You can go to a particular test. So as we think about state test prep and just kind of reviewing some of those troublesome standards throughout the year, you can go back to certain tests and look at the standards mastery that way. So this standards gradebook, again, is on the free account. And then finally, there's a standards progress report. And this is a new report we just released. It's on the premium version. And so I have a lot of data in my system since it's a demo account, so I apologize of the lag time here. But this is looking at, see, these are assessments, and of course, this is all fake data. Yours is going to look a lot better, depending on the standard, right? But so here's my classes. What I can do is look at this by student. And that screen there is giving you that assessment by assessment summary, which is really nice. And I forgot to show in the standards gradebook, you can actually see the standards, how students perform. It might actually be here. No, it's on the other view. But you'll be able to click on something and you can see, like Emmy Arias, for example, her score on each of her assessments from I think it's from either from performance summary or standards gradebook along the way. But you don't need it for this view because you'll be able to see each assessment over the year. And again, there's a few ways to analyze as well. So we have these standards that came from assessments. The next step is, well, how did you get the standards? How did you create these assessments? Is it all auto-graded? So the auto-grade, yes, Edulastic does that for you. So gone are those days where you're grading 120, like check for understandings. Edulastic will do that for you. And then to create those assessments, there's a few different ways to do that. And remember, with OTES 2.0 and high quality student data, I know one of the criteria is looking at your state and local standards. So we want to look for, okay, let's look for my grade and my subject tied to those Ohio standards. So that way my data is trustworthy and it's coming from a vetted source. I know as a former educator, whatever I'm using should be vetted unless I have the time to go in and vet it myself. So there's a couple of ways to build an assessment. As you see, I've got this like benchmark 1, benchmark 2, topic A, representing and reasoning about ratios. So I can come to an item bank, I can come to a pre-built test bank, or even if you have a paper version or something that you've created, if you can PDF that, you can use it as an Edulastic digital assessment. Let's go to the pre-built tests for just a minute here. And our filters are very sticky, which is good because we want you to find exactly what you're looking for, but they can be stubborn. And if you're like trying to find something down here, but other filters are turned on, what you want to do is just clear all, and then you can start using these filters to find what is in the system for Ohio, let's just say math. I'm just going to throw out math for a minute here. Now you can see folks on the line with us today, there's already some nice Ohio air practice stuff popping up. So let me just search for the Ohio release tests. I have a new ergonomic keyboard and it's just, there we go, still getting used to it. So I can search Ohio in the test search here, and it should just pull up my Ohio air practice tests. Beautiful. And then from here, you want to go, okay, well, what do you have for grade 7, for instance? And then what is out there that's pre-built, that's an Ohio released practice test for, like I said, math. And now I've got, as you can see, some released tests. Now, I show 15. I think there's less than that. And here's why, because see how there's collections listed here? I see an Edulastic Certified collection, and I see public. Educators, you can use anything you want. If it's Edulastic Certified, that's peace of mind. You don't have to go in and vet those questions and checking answers because they're coming from Ohio State test. But anything that's public, you'll have to go in and check, and you can do that just by clicking on the tile, and you can do a preview using the eyeball. I say that because this is showing as public, so I don't know who the author is. Everyone makes mistakes. What if there's like a wrong answer to a question? Or one of the questions, what if it's not the correct standard, right? There's all those things. So you can still use this test, but best practice on a public item is to preview it and vet it and check it. And then you can either use it as is or clone it and make edits. So how do I filter out the stuff that's public? Because time is of the essence here. So here's that collections filter. So I always suggest to educators I work with, start with Edulastic Certified. What's there that's vetted? See, now it takes out all the public stuff. And then if you're looking for something more, just flip off the collection to, just have public, and then you can browse more. And so from here, you can look at what's going on, but this is a 20 item assessment. It's been used this many times. It's been loved. These, are looking good to use. So I can open this up. Again, I can preview it, clone it, or just straight up assign it. Now, we integrate with many LMS. We have Google Classroom on the free side. We have Canvas integration with free accounts. That's a little more tricky because we have to talk to a Canvas lead at the district level. But Google Classroom is ready to go for you all on free accounts, and you can auto share assignments with your Google Classroom. And the grade pass back is there as well. So these were pre-built tests, something already there, using as is or can customize. You can also go to the item bank, which is basically taking our bank of pre-built tests and splitting them all apart into all their items. And so as you can see, for 7th grade math, I've got over 40,000 items. That's wow. And then, various authors here. So let's drill down a little bit more. I'm looking for just Ohio math items, okay? So my standard set, that's in your profile setup. You're gonna choose your standards and they're gonna show up in your filter here. Okay, so now I've got way less. Okay, good, I'm getting somewhere. But see, Ann Smith, Natalie, I'm sure fine educators, I'm sure their stuff is appropriate, but I don't have time to go in and check. So collections, Edulastic Certified, and this is one of the criteria is trustworthy data. So Edulastic Certified is the way to go. And see, now I'm down to 4,000. Now from here, it depends on what kind of assessment you're creating. Maybe it's a check-in on one particular standard that you're currently working on. And let me remind you guys, folks out there, everything I've done so far is on the free version. So that's why we encourage you to please go and create your free account so you can explore the content. But here I pop out the standards using this square. And now I can select a particular, maybe I'm just looking at the 7th grade geometry standards. And then when I hit apply, there we go. Now I'm showing, a little over 1,000 on just geometry. And so now I can start to create that assessment, and knowing that all of these questions are tied to standards. And now if you go back to that Insight tab, you're gonna get that standards data now, right? Something else you can do, and just before I move on, is you can, I'm just adding items here like I would to my Amazon cart before I check out. And that's what we're doing with Edulastic. I see Ileana laughing there. Everyone's familiar with Amazon with all this pandemic stuff going on. You can, as I'm adding items, see I'm creating a new test. And that's how easy it is. So this could be a 5-question check-in right here. And that's how easy to create. Or you can create that big end of course and just mix match from pre-built, from items in the bank, or you can create your own items. So teachers in non-tested subjects especially love this, because we do have a lot of non-tested standards in the system. We just don't have a lot of items, but that's okay. A drama teacher can come in here, an art teacher can come in here, create their own item type. So maybe they're going to do an essay and they're going to, and I've never taught art, but my daughter who's 4.5 loves art. So I'm just kind of thinking of what would I do with her. But an art teacher can upload an image of a particular piece from a point in history, ask a question about it, and students write out their response. Maybe they're doing an analysis of some art techniques within that that artwork. There's lots of multimedia to use. Hey, even math teachers, you can come in here and we've got a variety of those math tools for you to use in those math questions. And if I come over here, we've got a lot of our trig as well. So our advanced math teachers love this too. But what's great about this is you can create your own question, and using the metadata, you can still tie standards. So again, if you're that art teacher, you see your standard, but there's no question, you create the question, and now you can just go, find subjects is going to be other subjects. Your standard set, I think I saw Ohio drama or Ohio art in there. You can pop that in and then tie that standard to your question. You can even take it further by going, tagging it to a DOK as well as difficulty level. And then you can start building your own item bank, and then you can build questions, again, from our item bank, Ohio released. But if you're a non-state tested subject, you're going to just build assessments from your own created questions as you go throughout your account. So that's where you get the content, is your filters, your item bank, your pre-built test. And let me just expand this a little bit here. Remember, I was living in the insights to get all those standards reports, but I want to show you, it's just telling me you're doing things and it's making me unhappy. There we go. These reports are for premium, okay? Again, the standards gradebook's on the free side, but when you activate that trial, or you're a district on the call today that has Edulastic, you have a single assessment report, teacher. So you can come in, and I just, because my Wi-Fi, I know with the Aircast studio and such, I don't want to spend too much time waiting to get this data in, but what you can do is come over here to your filter. But you know what? Let's just take our chance. Let me just see if I can pull a little one here. Here's my representing and reasoning about ratios assessment. So now what I'm doing is taking a deep dive into a single, it worked, great. A single assessment report. So on this single assessment, my average score across my classes are here, as well as how my students performed within their performance bands. I'm looking at the classes across and how they performed here. So you'll get this for any single assessment summary. On the single assessment summary, you get the performance across your classes. So, wow, what's going on with period 4? But you'll be able to, reflect on the class, what is going on between period 1 and, period 2, for instance. As well as the individual students that make up those classes, right? Because everyone's unique. So that's going to allow you to reflect more and decide, what strategies do I need to do with period 2 that maybe I'm doing in period 1, but for some reason or not, maybe the period 2, makeup is a bit different. You can analyze by a few different ways here. I can even, look at the proficiency band. Again, my lasagna effect here for each class will pop up. And I'm comparing class right now. Maybe I want to do student groups. So you have the ability on the premium account to have flexible grouping. So whether that's groups based on performance or groups based on like. So I had a teacher creating groups for ACT prep, for ASVAB prep, because they wanted to go into the military after high school. And you can create student groups like that and send them some assessments to practice with, especially for that ASVAB test to get them to pass. Analysis tab. So this is going to look at each question individually on your assessment. So if you want that, you need that deep dive, especially for that high quality student data, you really need to drill down into the question. So this is going to provide that for you. I see how my students perform, the average time it's taking on those questions. I'm loving question 1's data so far. So I can actually come over here, and each question has that URL. I can go to that question on the live class board to see why, and of course there's lots of different standards here because I support a lot of different states, but you'll have your one unique standard for, your Ohio subject and grade. But what's nice is you'll get to see the standard tied to that question. So A1, students are doing pretty well on, as well as, but what type of question was this? Maybe they performed well because it was true, false versus fill in the blank or, label image, some sort of tech enhanced item. So now you can look at the frequency tab and see how did the students perform on the different item types. So this just had 2. and it looks like multiple choice is not doing as well as the math text dropdown. So this is how you can really evaluate questions, right? To figure out, is it, because if it's not the content, if they know the content and it's just the type of item, but we know the AIR test has a lot of those tech enhanced items, maybe I need to give more practice to my students on those tech enhanced items. And what you can do, I'm just gonna hop out of here and I'll come back to this report in a minute, is again, remember when you're filtering, you can filter by question type. So you can filter for, oops, I wanna go here. You can filter for just those high tech enhanced items. So if you come here to question type, here they are. So you can look for just label, image, drag, drop, or text entry. Maybe some of the question types that they're not comfortable with, you can do some whole group instruction with those questions to show them, really it's just a matter of navigating the technology, not so much the content. So let me go back to the Insights tab. There's a performance by standard. So this is going to give you every standard on that assessment and how they did. And then there's a performance by students. And with the performance by students, this is where on your premium account, you can start doing those flexible groupings on the fly here. So let me pull up that same topic A, go to test, pull up that assessment that you're interested in. Because again, this is a single assessment summary. And what's neat about this assessment I assigned is it was only on one standard, but the questions varied in proficiency because I was only focusing on question type. I knew they knew the standard, but now I'm going to mix it up to see what question types are they continuously getting wrong. Maybe it's the written response, and we now need to work on building literacy in that content area. So here's my students in their proficiency band. So what I can do now is filter for my students who scored limited, because I need to work with these students a little bit more. So what I can do is just click them all, add to a student group, and now I'm able to create a new group with these 3 students and do some small group instruction with them, some more differentiated practice assessments, and now I can track their data separate of the class to see if I can get them bumped up to the next proficiency band with the work that I'm doing with them. So that's a nice way to just group students real quick on the fly. And if I go back to Insights, I wish we had more time, but we don't. There's just so much data here available at your fingertips. But if you, again, go back to that bar graph, just think this is where all of your data lies. We just covered something from the single assessment. You also have a multiple assessment report suite where you can look at, again, progression of students over time, strengths and weaknesses, targeting for differentiated instruction, those 3 reports that I showed at the start of the call. And then finally, there's a nice student profile report suite where it's going to give that student a snapshot of their performance to date. Really nice to print these for parents, principals, or even just sharing with your students and having those conversations with them. It'll show them their performance by domain and standard, as well as their scores on their assessments throughout the year. So really helpful to have those conversations with your kiddos. Something from the admin account side in an enterprise subscription is my administrator, let's just say they were the math coach, added me to a PLC group. And I know I'm in a group because I see this group of people here. And she called this the math collaborative team, and there's 3 teachers in this team, okay? Now, these 3 teachers, we all assigned a common assessment to our 6th grade math teachers. To our 6th grade math students. Now we want to come together and look at the data, not to call anyone out and say, gosh, Mr. Pythagoras, like, why does your data suck? No, that's not what that's there for. It's to find out, why is Mr. Pythagoras kids not mastering standard XYZ that Miss Rogers student seems to be doing well on? So what is the strategies there? And now we're talking, pedagogy type things there. So if an admin creates a collaborative team, the admin can share if it was a common assessment, can share that report with the team. And I know I have something shared with me because, again, when I go to my insights, I have a shared report. And see this, this single assessment report that all of us assign to our students, I can now look at the data between myself, Mr. Pythagoras, and Miss Meitner, and see we're all in different schools. So this is very helpful to do that ongoing reflection and come together in your collaborative teams and doing the analysis of the data, because you now all have access to it. And so you'll be able to see their performance here. And because I'm comparing by school, I want to go to teacher. And so now the teachers have popped up, and now I can even look at proficiency band. And again, Mr. Pythagoras, you know, is certainly going to be keen to hear about Miss Rogers and what she's, you know, doing to teach this particular unit to her students. Now, I've gone over a lot of data, but there's more. So in case you're like, wow, that's just amazing, it gets even more amazing. We have a live class board. So this is all good, you know, to see kind of overtime and bird's eye view and tracking performance. But really, we need to be, you know, understanding what's happening in real time so we can make those intentional notes on the spot to then figure out tomorrow what does the lesson look like here. So you can go to your assessments clipboard and you can go to any assignment you've assigned, okay? Now, if I go to this math benchmark and I click on it, I see all these 3 classes and I see one's in progress. You can use the TV to get an insight and view into what's happening live. So when I click on that TV, I grab my popcorn and I can watch the magic happen. So this isn't going to be too exciting, but just imagine the test is in flight and you're going to see all the student responses start popping up. You're even going to see when those kiddos use the scratch pad. You can add test instructions, and something that I know teachers are doing, especially with distance learning or kind of hybrid learning environment, is on the test instructions telling the students, use Scratchpad to show your work, so that way the teacher, you can view their work from your screen and really, you know, jump in there and support them to see kind of where they're going wrong in the process of, like, you know, a math problem, for instance. But on the premium version, you can present this. So imagine your, you know, whole group instruction coming together as a class, projecting this on your smartboard, whiteboard, what have you, or maybe you're in a Zoom and see now my kids are totally anonymous and no one's embarrassed. And now we can say, okay, class, question 9, why question 9 is causing such a problem for you all. And, you know, students will raise their hand and we can click on this particular bar right here. And we'll see exactly what question 9 was. Oh, division of fractions. Well, everyone's favorite. Why did they get it wrong? But you'll be able to, you know, come into the question, and then if the students use Scratchpad, there'll be a button here and you can pull up and see where the students, you know, missing the mark and what kind of feedback this test is closed, so I can't add feedback, but where I can, you know, add feedback based on the work they show to maybe redirect them to retake, and then show them their previous response on the redirect, show them my feedback, and see if they can get it right the next time around. So that's your live class board. Live class board comes with the free account, but there are a few little bells and whistles that I have on my live class board that are with the premium. And again, we're offering those free trials of premium right now. So you can take that premium account in a test drive. So you'll have the present button available for you to use. You'll have the standards-based report where you can click on this tab. And right from here, you'll be able to, if I click, in fact, you can present, get out of there, there we go. You can present this as well. So if I click present, the kiddos will start to be those random words here. So you can even share this with your class and look at, okay, let's look at the domain, look at the standard, like, we got to work on these questions and these standards down here. But what you can do is just from this vertical dot, you can print student report cards for this particular assessment, share with students, share with parents. So with 4 minutes left, I've got lots of notifications on the discussion forum, but I haven't even bothered looking because Ileana is awesome in monitoring, and I know Betsy's been helping out too, so thanks to the both of you. I don't see any outstanding, my folks are telling me there's no questions, so maybe no news is good news approach with no questions, but let me tell you this, we have the best blog, the best Twitter. You will remain supported no matter your implementation, whether you're free or on a paid subscription. So check out our Twitter, check out our blog. And the blog has a great search engine where you can come in. I think, I'm still sharing my screen in fact, let me just end here. So there's a blog, but you can type in common assessment to see kind of how people are using Edulastic for common assessment. Samantha, that compliment from you just gave me goosebumps, and it just made my heart happy because Samantha is the author of this beautiful, intimate writing piece where she shares how her district used Edulastic Enterprise to implement common assessment. And I think I showed this again at the beginning. I'll show it at the end, but please, get your coffee or whatever beverage, depending on the time of day, and sit down and have a good read. Because she is Ohio and an educator in Ohio, and she's using our platform to help with common assessment and tracking student progress. And during a pandemic, how many more layers can we have on that? And then I'm also going to leave you with the free trial. And if you're using the trial and you're loving it, but with spring break and testing and you want an extension, you can email me just because I'd love to get to know you and meet you and hear how it's going so far. And, for Ohio folks, we can certainly keep that on a little bit longer, but it's just emailing Ileana or myself, because if you email Ileana, she'll just, send it over to me. Well, thanks again, everyone, for your time and for being here. Thank you. Yay. So it's there in the chat. Super excited for y'all to get started, whether you're new or if you're a veteran. Hopefully you learned some different strategies and different ways to leverage that premium enterprise account to support your state initiative, which OTES 2.0, and making sure you have that HQSD criteria met.